Summer is turned up, ladies and gentlemen. Summer is turned up. I kid you not. Welcome to the platform. Welcome, everybody. Blessings to you all. Hope that everybody is doing well. Please remember to like and share the content. It really does help to get the word out and the conversations out. All right. Thank you in advance for those who support in every way, shape, and form by subscribing on Bolo VNR 2.0. You can become a member. You can send super chats. All of that wonderful stuff, yeah? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have some things to cover. All right. I'm going to start off with a snippet from PDTV last night. You know, that's what I'm going to start off with. Andre said something that I would love to echo in terms of the conversation that I'm in total agreement with. And of course, you know, my channel is somewhat of an echo chamber when it comes down to certain conversations. Hold on. I thought I was live over here, so you know. Oh, sorry about that. So we live now on Bolo VNR 2.0, live on Bolo TVV, and we're live on Bolo VNR Clips. Welcome to the platform, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're doing well. Okay. I guess that there's something I need to fix right here before I start. Yes, I need to fix that. I need to turn this off. There we go. I need to turn off my Bluetooth from here. So welcome. Please remember to hit the like button coming in. Let me know where you guys are watching from. I'm gonna give you guys some time to get settled in. You know, smash the like button. Tell me where you're watching from, whether it's Canada, the UK, Jamaica, wherever you are in the world. Let me know wherever you are in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know where you guys are watching from, alright? We got Lavish in the building and Angel Green. What's up, my darling? Let me make you a moderator over there. Big up yourself. Thanks for the continued support. I think, let me see. Yes, the donation link is pinned over Bolo VNR, Bolo TBV, on Bolo VNR 2.0, but it's not pinned on Bolo VNR clip. So let me just change that. Once I start, I don't want to, no distraction, Jamaica. No distraction. I want to just flow today. Just flow. You understand? That is my aim. I want the conversation to flow. So, of course, you know, you have to get it right before you start, yeah? I don't need that one. I need probably this one then. This one is not working. Interesting. No, that one I can't.
Go work this month.
He's out, the general. He's out.
Is a new fear?
He's out.
May God Almighty. The government of Jamaica.
All right. Sorry about that, my people. Just drop you in this right here. All right. Perfect. Amazing.
I have a stand up against.
Where's that man level? Oh. Notice some things happened from the other day. I noticed some things happened from the other day. Notice some things happening from the other day. Notice some things happening from the other day. Let me read this before I do anything else. Let me read this before I do anything else, ladies and gentlemen. The monitoring spirits, man. Monitoring spirits, them. Wait a minute. What happened to all of it? Oh, what is it? There we go. Monitoring spirits are alive and well, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so let me share my screen.
Psalm 18. I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation and my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from mine enemies. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon the Lord and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken, because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub and did fly, yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. At the brightness that was before him his thick clouds passed, hailstones and coals of fire. The Lord also thundered in the heavens, and the highest gave his voice, hailstones and coals of fire. Yea, he sent out his arrows and scattered them, and he shot out lightnings and discomfited them. And the channels of waters were seen, and the foundations of the world were discovered at thy rebuke, O Lord, at the blast of the breath of thy nostrils. He sent from above, he took me, he drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy, and from them which hated me. For they were too strong for me. They prevented me in the day of my calamity. But the Lord was my stay. He brought me forth also into a large place. He delivered me, because he delighted in me. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness. According to the cleanness of my hands hath he recompensed me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, and have not wickedly departed from my God. For all his judgments were before me, and I did not put away his statutes from me. I was also upright before him, and I kept myself from mine iniquity. Therefore hath the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his eyesight. With the merciful thou wilt show thyself merciful, with an upright man thou wilt show thyself upright, with the pure thou wilt show thyself pure, and with the froward thou wilt show thyself froward. For thou wilt save the afflicted people, but wilt bring down high looks. For thou wilt light my candle. The Lord my God will enlighten my darkness. For by thee I have run through a troop, and by my God have I leaped over a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all those that trust in him. For who is God save the Lord? Or who is a rock save our God? It is God that girdeth me with strength, and maketh my way perfect. He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and setteth me upon my high places. He teacheth my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by mine arms. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand hath holden me up, and thy gentleness hath made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, that my feet did not slip. I have pursued mine enemies and overtaken them, neither did I turn again till they were consumed. I have wounded them, that they were not able to rise. They are fallen under my feet. For thou hast girded me with strength unto the battle. Thou hast subdued unto me those that rose up against me. Thou hast also given me the necks of mine enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. They cried, but there was none to save them, even unto the Lord. But he answered them not. Then did I beat them small as the dust before the wind. I did cast them out as the dirt in the streets. Thou hast delivered me from the strivings of the people, and thou hast made me the head of the heathen. A people whom I have not known shall serve me. As soon as they hear of me, they shall obey me. The strangers shall submit themselves unto me. The strangers shall fade away and be afraid out of their close places. The Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. It is God that avengeth me, and subdueth the people unto me. He delivereth me from mine enemies, yea, thou liftest me up above those that rise up against me. Thou hast delivered me from the violent man. Therefore will I give thanks unto thee, O Lord, among the heathen, and sing praises unto thy name. Great deliverance giveth he to his king, and showeth mercy to his anointed, to David, and to his seed forevermore.
Amen. 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 Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've been having a lot of challenges, you know. We've been having a lot of challenges, so we have to call it for what it is. We have to call it for what it is. What is that? Oh. So let me get to this. Let me get to this.
A police officer from the mandate, I understand, is to what? Serve, protect. This is not a police officer. A police officer from the mandate,
Showtime 6 p.m. Admission 3,000 pre-sold, 3,005 at the gate. Children under 12, 1,005. Ticket outlets: William Knibb Memorial Baptist Church. Drug kick located in 5.
who murdered.
It's a Father's Day Jubilee concert.
So ladies and gentlemen, it's your brother. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to highlight brother Andre Stevenson. Congratulate him as well for upcoming success that he's about to mention on his platform. Jamaica, if you don't want Andre, other people want him here in terms of his advocacy. You just understand that. And you know the diaspora. All I women in the diaspora, Canada and them placed all over, want to just take away Andre from home. So, I'm going to treat Look David right here. And this topic right here, so we're going to mention, I have to highlight. Because there's some things he said that I'm in total agreement with, and also I want to echo, ladies and gentlemen. So, listen to what Andre Stevens has to say here regarding the Lataya Buju Bolging's case update. All right, let's get it.
Yes, Jamaica, welcome back. I see the murderer who murdered Buju.
Antonio, what are you dealing
I see the murderer who murdered Buju has been charged for murder. Or that is not a police officer. A police officer from the mandate, I understand, is to what? Serve, protect, and to do what? Courtney reassure. But that is a gunman in a police uniform. I wonder if he had a badge. Or I wonder if he's a gunman who was... But yes, them say him is a law enforcer. And today, Jamaica, I witnessed in the parliament. Zulika just talking about what has happened with the almost 150 Jamaicans who have been murdered. And she said, when you hear a justice minister reiterating the use of deadly force with the police officers, you hear that's rebellion. Juliet Cuthbert, it is the law. It is the law. It is the law. These people have no care. What can go so?
Hold on there. Juliet Cuthbert did in our parliament. I said that I remember me I watch it show, you know. Me I watch it parliament. And I said, could Andre in our parliament today, you know? Andre in our parliament. Right? I don't even watch me live on the system did it. Right? So you're telling me Juliet Cuthbert talking about it is the law? How on top can you be, ladies and gentlemen? The law can be wrong. If the law is doing an injustice to the people, we should just accept it because it's the law. The devil is a liar. Let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. No, sir. I'm forced to frightened, so.
For the ordinary Jamaican who encounter police and who have been killed by deadly force. I say that to say, Jamaica, when you hear Delroy Chuck in the parliament, I'm going to say, what level of education you have? You're damn right, Delroy Chuck. She have education, you're a damn drunkard. Yeah. What can go so?
Delroy Chuck tried to question Sluika Justice education. You know, so that brother they are racist, in my Orange Chang. I am convinced them two China man they are racist. Or Japanese, whatever them is. I'm not talking about them two specific man there. I'm not talking about all Chinese, I'm not talking about all Japanese. I'm not talking about whatever them is. In the Asian community, them two man there are racist as far as I'm concerned. You know, some statements so they make really and truly make me wonder. And when it comes to the most vulnerable Jamaica, which is we the black people, them, right? Some statements so they make really, Andre, question the lady about her education in damn out of order. Him have education? He sound like one baboon every time he want me mouth. Better way I deal with. I don't hear not sensible come from out that them on them out. Him creeping, him tell us what them me say, oh, that brother are weird. I wouldn't even want him near my kids, bro. Real talk. And that's my opinion. That's my assessment of him using my eye test. I wouldn't want to sit in a room and talk to a Delroy Chuck. I wouldn't want to be in the same space as a Delroy Chuck. Or any of them in the Jamaica Labour Party for that matter. Mighty God.
I only need a whiskey to just get off. I need 2 Cuban cigars and you totally off. What is your level of education?
Him out of order. Him rank.
But I won't make that the substantive point for you. And that's Juliet Cuthbert.
No, go do that.
I am happy to know that the police has been charged for murder.
Me a second.
And the truth is, Courtney, had the camera not been there,
not want to come out there.
Latoya, Bulgin would have just been another number.
True. Facts. That's facts.
Latoya Bulgin would have just been another debt.
I real talk, man. I know that
You know what? Just another number. Just another statistic. And if they knew the camera was there, the camera would have been destroyed. It would have become another cold case in this country. It would have been another 9-day wonder. You don't realize that the death squad now do not only for death of late. And just tonight them knock for 4, you know. Because them say them not make them the target for the week. So them just going to knock for 4 tonight. Right, that's how Camp Road them knock for 4 tonight. I ain't see it in the news. From 6 o'clock this evening, them knock for 4 and almost 10 o'clock and ain't report in the news yet.
Help.
It's a wicked act. It's a gruesome act. It's a brutal act. I'm see the whole on the pan. Still signed.
You know, say last night me I do my live. I don't remember who said to me. One of the ladies in the chat, and them say Andre mentioned say four the police them analyze 4 person. And they not coming at the news. Me I go check see if it in the news now, ladies and gentlemen. No, give me a second. Let's continue.
His signature. Marvin at the film part. Marvin has stand up against the walls of the police force. Smiley has stand up against the walls of the police force. Andre Stevens stand against the government. Marvin stand against the police. That's a good. Don't it, Courtney? Danisha Prendergast stand for the poor people in Western Jamaica. If you have more Marvin,
what's up, Butter?
If you have more Andre Stevens, I stand up for something. If you have more Danisha Prendergast, I stand up for something. Jamaica would be in a better place today. Somebody have to stand up against something. Somebody have to stand up against something. Somebody have to stand up, Courtney, against something. I have to stand up against.
Oh, there was something wrong with his stream. Look like they want to mess with Andre's stream last night. Look how him freeze up. Watch that. Go and freeze up for long. I don't mean I do that in Jamaica. It actually freeze up. It actually freeze up. See, come back there now.
Yes, they might disrupt me internet.
Yes.
We really need to get a Starlink. Anyone that know come from America can buy one Starlink for a teacher. I really need. Officer, Drayden are sending you some artwork. Murdered. Imagine Courtney. Bap, bap. And then you drag her body. Throw her lifeless. Throw her lifeless.
Terrible.
Body. And drop her. And then her body fall out and do it again.
Wow.
What a cruel act.
Oh.
What a wicked act. What a cruel act. What a wicked act to make. He's a police officer. He's a member of the security force. A police murdered her because of the actions. However, is trying to tell his security officers, shoot to kill and explain after. When a prime minister tell the minister of defense, tell his police, meet thy judge or thy maker. Meet thy judge. She was not a criminal. She was not a threat. She was a mother. She was a neighbor. She was a citizen. Where we want justice, where we want it now.
No.
Where we want justice, where we want equality now. She was a mother. She was a neighbor.
True,
she was
man.
a caregiver. And Latoya Bulgin was murdered by the police. She was murdered by the state. Facts are facts.
True.
She was murdered by the state. Because the prime minister and the security minister powered by a cruel murderous commissioner of police.
Like and share the video like my side. Like and share the video here.
Let me say it again. A murderous commissioner of police.
Wow.
Call it what it is. It is it. You know? It's really sad.
Bad man.
Very sad.
Bad.
Her name is Latoya Bulgin. She was a mother. She was a citizen. She was a neighbor. She was not a criminal. She wasn't a threat to the policeman. She was a citizen of Jamaica living in the parish of St. James, in the community of Granville, demonstrating for her cousin that was murdered equally by the police. Cold-blooded murder. We must say her name. We must have a legislation that goes up against this kind of act, the Latoya Bulgin Act.
Right there, so. Right
The
there, so.
Latoya Bulgin.
Right there, so, Jamaica. Right there, so. That right there, I love that, Mr. Andre Stevens. That right there, so. I am in total agreement with that. I am in total agreement with this right here, so this suggestion right here.
The Latoya Bulgin Bujo Act. We must legislate change using her name.
Yes, yes.
We must legislate change in this country
Let it not be
using her
forgotten.
name.
Let it not be
Just
forgotten.
as we have the Ananda Dean Alert,
Yes.
the Latoya Bulgin Act,
Yes.
that speaks to police
Yes.
when they have done some acts of criminality against the citizen. I gather that he has not gotten bail. He has not gotten a bail, Jamaica. But the drunker, because only a drunker could have taken out and done such a gruesome, wicked act against humanity.
Whoa.
She was murdered for a spent shell that she took up for her to become a witness. Can you imagine other witnesses, how the police would have dealt with you? So being a witness in Jamaica isn't safe.
Whoa. Not
All lives
even,
matters.
not even with the police.
And I'm going to
Wow.
say this to you, Jamaica.
Wow.
If you continue, he's going to murder more of us. We must stand up for something. And if we don't stand up for something, you're going
Fall
to lose
for everything. That's right. That's right.
Wicked
That's
act.
right. That's
Cruel
right.
act. Wicked act. Cruel act. Wicked act. Cruel act. Wicked act. Cruel act. Wicked act. Cruel act. Latoya Bulgin, may you and your family get justice because they degraded your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
They degraded your body.
Definitely.
The drunkards and the dogs you are. We need to get their names and speak more about the cruelty that has happened to humanity. You see, Jamaica, I'm getting into another topic tonight.
Yes, so the other policemen, I believe, should be charged. And nobody can declare that the young lady was not living. Nobody there, none of the police there could have declared that she was no longer with us. They cannot declare it. I understand they would be in error trying to declare that, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Only a professional could come and say, declare, yes, she is not here with us anymore. Or there's no way, you know, people have been brought back from literally close to the fangs of death. But you see how they dealt with her body, ladies and gentlemen? That right there, so, is the reason why I believe the other police should be locked up. They stuffed her body in the trunk. There's reports, unconfirmed reports, that her body fell when they were driving towards the police station or wherever it is they were going. If that is true, based off the postmortem data, when they actually, you know, analyze the cause of death and look at her body, they can tell, all right, you have bruises here, you have broken bones, you have fractures here, and, you know, it should be that she got shot that actually made her, you know, lose her life. But if evidence shows otherwise, that it's something else that they lose alive. I don't know, maybe the way how they drag their body out of the something like a dog. Maybe the way how they stuff the fly chow they're doing. Maybe the way how they stuff their body in the back of the trunk of the vehicle. Right? All of them should be charged. All of them should be charged, ladies and gentlemen. And it is sad that we have a police force that really and truly they don't actually seem like they give a damn, to be quite honest with you. I don't see it. Because you don't hear the right message coming out of the JCF heads. You don't hear the right message coming from name again, Oris Chang. And then you hear mixed messages coming from Andrew Holness as if he didn't say what he said. You feel what I say? And then this picture. There's this picture that surfaced. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if Andre had posted it. Let me see. I think he had put it up. I think he had put it up. Let me see if we can find it. Let me see if we can find it. Somebody had sent it to me. Somebody had sent me the picture. There's a picture of police commissioner, FID director Dennis. What's his name? Dennis what? Dennis Chang. That's his name. And somebody else. And I'm saying this picture, a picture tells 1,000 words, man. You can't see the boys club for the Jamaica Labour Party. And they're not hiding. You can't see the syndicate of the JLP, from the FID president to the police commissioner. All of these men are yes men for the Jamaica Labour Party, as far as me see. I don't hear them come say nothing objective, right? Not all objective, but you know, it is what it is. Can't find the picture right now, I can move on. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen, about the suggestion from Mr. Andre Stevens in regards to the Lataya Buju Bolton legislation. I am all for it. You know what I mean? You know, enough is enough. Whatever it is that we can do to affect change, I think it's our responsibility to do so. And if and when we are our families, our friends are the victims, you know, you can't say anything. You can't be like, oh, you know, but where were you? You had a voice. Everybody have a phone. Use your phone. Do a video. Speak about it. Let your voices be heard. You never know where it can go. I keep telling you guys, you know, if you guys was united, you know, we should have a hashtag justice for Lataya Buju Bolton. There should be a hashtag on every video to speak on this issue. Justice for Lataya Buju Bolton. And it cannot be a 1 year or 2 year thing. Right? Every time the police them, we see the police them look like say there is a suspected unaliving of an innocent unaliving of a citizen, and it's caught on video. Lataya Buju Bolton would be the hashtag still used to show that one, the government has not done anything really and truly to stop this particular this act from happening by implementing body-worn cameras in the force, specifically in the areas where you have operations. The man them where I use the most lethal weapon, the man them on the street, you know, them mask and them something. No man, the man they need for your van body one cameraman. Freedom, big up yourself. You feel me I deal with the man they need for you and the good have to suffer for the badness so you go. And police use that same law when it commands to people because they have youth and have nothing to do with no crime, but because them got there on somebody not knowing say them a criminal, then them become a victim of police brutality or worse in a them operation because you know most of the time them just assume say everybody is a part of whatever that person is a part of, and this is how them label people as gangs. You understand? Without proper intel, you have a thing called profiling. You feel what I say? So maybe don't want to think about that in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Alright? Moving on. Now my people. Let me start off. Let me go back here. So now up on the People's National Party website. Here we go. It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. So, Dr. Dayton Campbell and ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Dr. Dayton Campbell and Zulika Jess was on All Angles. It's two small snippets from the show, right? But I want you guys to listen carefully to the question from Deanne Jackson Miller. And Deanne Jackson Miller has come under severe heat. And I believe she has exposed herself to be leaning towards the Jamaica Labour Party in her support based off her criticism of Nikisha Burchell. She's entitled to her opinion, but her opinion will also lay us to have an opinion as well. Something that she said in that particular you know, I don't know what to call it, bashing, heavy criticism of Nikisha Burchell truly rubbed me the wrong way, because something about foot in mouth disease and she tried to broad brush the People's National Party in terms of, you know, her criticism, like something is wrong with the approach of the People's National Party altogether. And it really, really bothers me, what she said, ladies and gentlemen, right? Because I don't think it was fair. And I'm going to go to the clip. I'm going to hear it for myself. All right?
Also control, because it's not a school mistress and a school mom in a basic school. All right, no. Just no. This is not it. Why would you say that? MP, you need to walk it back. You need to apologize. This is actually this.
And I asked the question, where was the demand for an apology from the Speaker of the House? When she said, move outside. Where was the demand for apology from the Speaker of the House, Dr. Angela Brownberg? There's a myriad of things Juliet Holness is to apologize for, but I've never heard Deanne Jackson Miller say, no, you need to walk it back. I have never heard that. When has that happened? But listen.
Disappointing for a number of reasons. I've been watching MP Burchell since she came to Parliament. She's a first-time MP representing a rural constituency, the constituency of South St. James. And she's one of the younger MPs that the PNP, the opposition PNP, has been looking to help to revitalize their side of the House. I've been pretty impressed with her, right? I've been listening to her contributions in committee. I like how she handled herself. I think she's been doing her homework. And I'd earmarked her in a previous video as one of the MPs I thought did really well, you know, from the start of Parliament last year. But honestly, it looked like so she got sit down on the PNP side of the House and she catch foot in mouth disease with some. Some of them have, because on the, you know, from the start of Parliament last year. But honestly, it looked like so she got sit down on the PNP side of the house and she catch foot in mouth disease, which some of them have. Because why would you say this?
Here is my point. The PNP, she catch foot in mouth disease on the PNP where some of them have. So this is a criticism of the PNP. A justified one? I don't know. You tell me. So you're telling me that the Speaker of the House don't have foot in mouth disease? This is why I say she's leaning more towards the JLP, in my opinion, in her commentary. And she try her best, but she get exposed a little bit here. So this was very disappointing from Diane Jackson. Of course, my criticism of her is light compared to the other colleagues on the platform that is in support of the People's National Party. Mr. Wayne Lonesome dealt with her very, he dealt with her. But moving on, ladies and gentlemen, I've made my point in regards to Diane Jackson. Now, I want you to listen to this actual question. Angel Green said she out of order. Listen to this, the way she framed this question to Dr. Dayton Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this.
Given the concern that you've been expressing, this though in the context of the projects we've heard announced from government in terms of infrastructure work, in terms of housing, in terms of relief, has there been, what should I say, a real attempt at engaging government on the concerns? I mean, we've heard the opposition at press conferences, but has there been a behind the scenes, come make us sit down and talk and try sort this out because people suffering?
I find the question very insulting. I find the question very leading towards, as if she hasn't seen that the People's National Party has made several attempts. It was quite clear. So her question suggests that the PNP is just playing politics and they go to these press conferences to embarrass the Jamaica Labour Party and they're not really advocating on behalf of the people. That is how the question frame suggests to me. I don't know what you guys think, but when I heard it, that's the first thing I was like, wait a minute. Why? If you notice, let me go back. If you notice how she was buck shuffling, asking the question, ladies and gentlemen, you could see that for me, in my opinion, it came from a place of clear bias towards the Jamaica Labour Party. I am questioning her as a journalist. This is on all angles. This is TVJ. This is not her own podcast where she have her own opinion. You have to at least pretend as if you're being objective. You're telling me that you watched this entire 7 months and you didn't see clearly coming out of even the Prime Minister's mouth saying that the opposition leader reached out to him. As a matter of fact, the opposition leader has had an issue with him responding to him. The message just go and disappear and no reply. So how can you ask a question like that? And then she also framed it in a way, basically she was singing the tune of the Jamaica Labour Party. Listen again. I want you guys to listen carefully, ladies. Listen again.
But given the concern that you've been expressing, this though in the context of the projects we've heard announced from government in terms of infrastructure work, in terms of housing, in terms of relief, has there been, what should I say, a real attempt?
What should I say? A real attempt? And some people might have liked Diane Jackson Miller, right? So this might be hard for you to hear. But tell me that I am tripping. Tell me that I am just making a mountain out of a mole the way how she's framing this question. Tell me. show me, do a video and explain to me, say, Bolo, no, you just read too much into it, man. Listen to her, ladies and gentlemen. She talked about infrastructure work. She talked about relief. All of these things. Singing the tune of the Jamaica Labour Party. Let me take this person off of my page. Thank you so much for exposing yourself. Right? Listen again.
Yeah, but given the concern that you've been expressing, this though in the context of the projects we've heard announced from government in terms of infrastructure work, in terms of housing, in terms of relief, has there been, what should I say, a real attempt at engaging government on the concerns? I mean, we've heard the opposition at press conferences, but has there been a behind the scenes, come make us sit down and talk and try sort this out because people suffer it?
A part of Jamaican politics is that when you're elected, you become the chief mendicant. So I have been begging, pretty much, advocating, pleading to persons for some assistance for the persons. It makes no sense for me to not do that because that's...
Jamaica, I want you to go back to the first few parliaments. Because I can't do it right now. I didn't plan to do it. If I did, I would lay it out on the table for you right now. I want you to go back to the first few parliaments when the People's National Party and listen to the tone mass control. Listen to the tone. Zane, Floyd Shaw, Vanessa, listen to the tone of the People's National Party. From the onset. As a matter of fact, you know I'm going to do it? I'll be back. And that's for the recording. I tell them, say, I'll be back. I'm going to do it. Let me find it. I'm trying to find it as quickly as possible. The first press conference of the People's National Party. I'm just try to show you how these people are. I cannot believe that she made that statement, yo. Absolutely cannot believe that she made that. The way how she framed that, honestly, it just exposes her. It exposes her. It's one thing for you to be biased, and it's the next thing for you to act like you're not biased. Dean Jackson Miller just come out and tell us that you're a Labourite. It's that simple. You have a right to be a Labourite. It's a democracy. Just come out and tell us that you're a Labourite. Nothing wrong. Just tell us you are a Labourite. That's all she have to do. Because this don't make no sense, ladies and gentlemen. That question is one of the dumbest questions a journalist could ask the People's National Party if they have made a real attempt to reach out to oh, come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. This is untenable. This is untenable. I want you to listen to the opposition leader. I see me find it. This is one of them I'm going to find. This is the press conference. And I'm also going to find the parliament as well. I'm going to find the parliament as well. You understand? Because this don't make no sense. I want you to listen to Mark Jefferson Goley at this press conference, ladies and gentlemen, as they come out, all right, pleading to the government, begging the government, right? And then she asks a foolish question like that. Come on, bro. This is crazy, man. It's like every single person in the media has sold out. That's how it appears. That's what you're doing. I haven't seen her at a PMP conference and I haven't heard her ask the PMP any questions, as a matter of fact. That's a very good observation. So ladies, I'm back and I found the video, right? I found one of the videos. I want you guys to listen to Mark Jefferson Golden at the first press conference. Listen to this.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Jamaica. Good afternoon, members of the media and all listeners. I want to begin by expressing my profound, heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of those who have lost their lives in this tragic hurricane or its aftermath. Our sympathies also extend very profoundly to those thousands, tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans who are suffering at this time from the impact, the calamitous impact that this hurricane has had. And we are aware, of course, that there are levels of destruction. There's a large ground zero, as it's called, which is really the areas of Jamaica that were in the swathe of the hurricane when the eye hit in eastern Westmoreland, stretching into St. Elizabeth, stretching into the more westerly parts of Westmoreland as well, and then moving north into South St. James, parts of Hanover, and of course, Trelawney and even St. Anne. The rest of Jamaica has also suffered damage, some of it before the hit of the hurricane. And so we can't leave them out because there are communities all over the island where people are in a very difficult situation, whether it be due to no access with roads being blocked or breakaways, landslides, and so on. Our hearts go out to all who are in this dire predicament now. Now, I would say that this hurricane and its aftermath represent an existential threat to our society as we know it. People in life-threatening situations of isolation and deprivation mean that unless relief can reach them promptly and unless the necessary assistance can be found and distributed in an equitable and transparent manner to help them rebuild their lives, Jamaica is going to be facing very difficult times. And I think that point is not lost on anyone who is familiar with what is going on as I speak. In this context, we all need to pull together in unity to get Jamaica through this terrible disaster. This is a time to join hands and hearts, not just in words, but in deeds, so that the whole nation can feel part of responding positively to this devastating situation and the solutions that will help us to pull ourselves out of it. The opposition must not at this time be seeking to score political points as a political competitor of the government. This is not the time for the opposition to adopt that posture. And we are indeed trying our very best to operate in the spirit of that. On the other hand, we must point out where there are areas of need and what we see as the priorities in relation to those needs, where we see weaknesses in the response mechanisms that need strengthening or correcting. And we must provide where we can constructive, well-intentioned suggestions to help navigate the country through this disaster. We must also demand transparency and fairness in the distribution of all relief. The relief must get to those who need it, prioritizing those who need it most, whether they be of whatever political color or whatever demographic group they may belong to. They're all Jamaicans, and they are to be treated equally in this time without any form of discrimination or tribal politics coming into it. And we want to stand for that. There can be no place for partisanship or profiteering by political insiders or others connected to them at a time like this. It requires good governance, inclusive governance, authentic communication, and everyone working together. I now move to some of the things that I wish to propose in this regard. I have proposed to the Prime Minister from last week, Wednesday, that he should establish a broad-based task force to be given the responsibility of governance oversight over the relief effort, the relief coming in, how it is dealt with, how it is distributed, not to manage that process on a day-to-day basis, but to provide oversight to those who are managing it. So there's some accountability for how it's done, and that accountability is being held by a broad-based group that can enjoy the support and confidence of the whole society, especially those who are suffering terribly now and no doubt fear that they may not be treated fairly or they may be ignored or overlooked in the response of the state to the crisis.
Jamaica, hear when Mark Wallen said at the press conference, say reach out to Andrew Holness from last week, that are the week before the press conference. The man was in constant dialogue behind the scenes with Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness confirm it in a parliament. Remember going to parliament now and showing us what the hell is Diane Jackson Miller talking about? What kind of question that she asks? I'm going to go back to the question again. For showing us say, I am not tripping. When I listen to me, when I analyze the thing, Diane Jackson Miller has exposed herself, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot believe it. Listen to Dayton Campbell, so in a parliament. Listen to this. Tell me, say, the man them not come with an authentic plea to the government, right? For help. Listen to this.
From Portland, Eastern, you would now be at the back of the line. I didn't touch your mic other than to turn it on. Member from Westmoreland East, your questions, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Crazy, bro.
I have a few questions. At the outset, nothing that I say is politically motivated. I guess when a politician is saying something, people naturally think it's political because it's coming from a politician.
Member, just straight to the question.
From you see what you see? Look how humble. Look how humble Dayton Campbell came. The man is saying, listen, I want to make it clear that this is not being political. The situation in Westmoreland is a dire situation. This is ground zero. And listen to the virago in a parliament. This is why Nikisha Burchell said what she said. Diane Jackson Miller.
No, Madam Speaker, please. I have a mother that is in St. Anne. I don't have one in here.
Member, question, please.
Don't do that.
Straight to the question, member.
You see what Dayton Campbell had to do? I have a mother in St. Anne. I don't have one here. You don't talk to me like that. I'm a big man. Where was Diane Jackson Miller to demand the Speaker of the House to actually apologize to that? Yeah, she have a lot of people to apologize to, you know. I haven't heard none of you said apologize. But that's not the point. Look at the humility and the restraint that Dr. Dayton Campbell showed. Because of these some people. Hey, Alana, la, woy. She's very disrespectful. You understand? So she had tried to control Parliament like how she control her yard. That's not what Nikisha Burchell said. But that's what it is. She have a controlling damn issue where you can control a man, so not Parliament. These are grown people, but I digress. Let's move on. Oh, Tada.
I am simply trying to set the context of what I'm saying by saying that nothing that I have to say here is politically motivated. It's a simple point. My first question, because I think we have to learn from what we do. My first question. In the preparation for the hurricane, when the initial allocation was made of $200 million, we were told that some of us constituencies were not included in that allocation of $200 million. We raised concerns because the system was bigger than the country, several times bigger, and clearly would have affected every parish. Looking at what happened, where Westmoreland was not a priority, and landfall was made in eastern Westmoreland, do we think that we have the appropriate mechanism in place to make preparations for impending weather events like this?
Good question.
Let me play that question again. Let me play that question again. Because this question is going to come up. Felicia Fee, what's up? This question is going to come up again, you know. 7 months after with a hurricane season right in front of us. Let me play that again.
We raised concerns because the system was bigger than the country, several times bigger, and clearly would have affected every parish. Looking at what happened, where Westmoreland was told that we're not a priority, and landfall was made in eastern Westmoreland, do we think that we have the appropriate mechanism in place to make the allocations for impending weather events like this?
Good question.
My second question, My second question. In the lead up again to the hurricane, we were told that the supplies would not get to the shelters until the system started and persons started going to the centers. Do you think that was the appropriate decision, seeing that we were preparing for a Category 5 hurricane, and naturally it would have caused disruption in access to get to the shelters? Could have made my points easier, but since I want to put them as questions, I just put them as questions. Do we have an idea, an accurate count of the number of deaths that have occurred in Jamaica?
No.
Because based on my count from my own constituency, in the Darliston division, there are 12. In the Leamington division, 4. Betheltown division, 2. And 7 in the White House division, which is giving me 25. So do we have an accurate count as to the number of deaths that have taken place in the country? Do we believe that the response to retrieve the bodies was appropriate? Because we've had funeral homes that had to come for some, and the community members had to bury others in Eastern Westmoreland. So do we believe that the response has been adequate to pick up the bodies? In terms of the response of ministries, departments, and agencies, how do we go about making an assessment on how we deploy personnel from ministries, departments, and agencies to constituencies that are affected? Eastern Westmoreland is where landfall was made, a Category 5 hurricane, the eye of it, so that carries the eye wall, went across the constituency, starting in New Hope to Darliston, to Betheltown, and then over into South St. James. Total devastation and destruction along the entire constituency. Do we believe that enough personnel from ministries, departments, and agencies have been mobilized for a constituency like this, which is in fact the actual ground zero of the hurricane? My next question. Do we think that the condition that obtains in the shelters currently is adequate? The Maud McLeod shelter in Darliston, the persons there are sleeping on the desks that are within the shelter. Not one mattress is at the facility. Females are there that are having their monthly cycles without any form of supplies being given to that center. 3-month-old baby in the center. Do we think that sufficient work is being done in the centers, in the shelters that currently obtain?
Big no-no.
There are over, by my estimation, at least 2,000 homes that are flat, not damaged. They are totally destroyed. The foundation is all that you see. Do we think enough is being done to provide shelter, food, and water for those persons who have been displaced? I'm encouraged, Prime Minister, by some of what you have said. I'm encouraged by some of what you have said. Not being unreasonable, I'm encouraged by some of what you have said. The establishment of the points by the JDF is something that is long overdue, so that we can have access points across the constituency where you can airlift supplies to and then distribute from there, and that we can get medical personnel in place. The hurricane itself and the destruction that it has caused is a high-stress environment. To be hypertensive, have high blood pressure, and be out of your medication in a high-stress environment is a recipe for disaster. It's a ticking time bomb. So those persons that are within Eastern Westmoreland that needs medical care, the centers have to be set up urgently in a way that the army can mobilize persons to the different communities so they can attend to persons. There are at least 3
Please like and share the video, guys. Do not be selfish. Like and share the video.
We see soldiers repelling from the helicopters. It can't be just practice. No, it's the real thing.
Yeah, man. You have curry with it? You need beef. Bolo, yeah.
Beast and Spring,
There was.
which have Beast and Spring, the 3 areas that are maroon, Beast and Spring, and a community called Touch Valley, and there's another section there called Left Hall, and then you have Amity, up in close to the border with South St. James. PM, my own assessment, and I'm not a specialist in this, but my own assessment, looking at the damage to the housing stock, is that I believe that the only thing that I see that can quickly deal with it is the containerized housing solutions that come anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 US landed and erected.
Member, do you have any more questions?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I do.
Okay, please,
yes,
member.
I do. Yes, I do.
Please, member, questions.
What is the what?
So even in the humility of the People's National Party, in the most devastating period in Jamaican history, the Speaker of the House didn't have the emotional intelligence to allow the man to ask his questions, interrupting the man. This is not a normal situation. Forget your standing orders and use emotional intelligence so the man, the representative of the People's National Party, can speak on behalf of the people that are suffering in Eastern Westmoreland in this case. Right? Look at her. This is what the PNP had to deal with, Dean Jackson Miller. Where was your criticism of how the government was operated in this sensitive time? Right? Where was your criticism of the House Speaker in the way she was behaving? Can you imagine in a public space how they are dealing with the People's National Party in Parliament? For the world to see, you can imagine the People's National Party humbly trying to reach out. And what that would look like. I'm going to show you after this what it would look like.
What is the possibility of us?
Please, member, questions.
What is the possibility?
Look at that face. Look at her face of disgust. Look at her face of disgust. And if for those who want to see, come over to Bolo TVV. Look at her face of disgust, ladies and gentlemen. She cannot even hide her true feelings towards her bias against the People's National Party members. Right? Her face looks like she's constipated and want to throw up at the same time. She have a constipated face, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Freeze frame. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. She cannot hide her bias and her disgust for the People's National Party. And she's supposed to be the Speaker of the House. And she's supposed to be balanced and fair. And you can see her face, her body language, everything. Yesterday in Parliament, you want to hear she almost went against, I think she went against the standing orders and called out Nikisha Burchell's name. And then correct herself. I'm sorry, sir, Nikisha Burchell never get up and say, you are out of order based on standing orders such and such and such. You understand? Let's continue.
The ability of us as a country putting a program together that will see us being able, and I'm sure the other members from Westmoreland will speak for themselves, but and surrounding areas, because Northwest St. Elizabeth is in the same category, you know. So it's not a political point that I am making, because the damage there is just as bad. What is the possibility of us being able to implement a program quickly where we can get some of those units erected, so at least we can get that mother from under the tarpaulin with her children? That is the current situation in Belmont and Bluefields and elsewhere across the constituency.
Dean Jackson Miller, 7 months later, where were you when the People's National Party were asking these questions? 7 months later, that question, the Jamaica Labour Party has still failed. 7 months later. Mighty God.
We also need, if you want me to ask it as a question, when will we be able to have some repair done to the gas station facilities so that when somebody says to me they're coming from Kingston, I don't have to ask them to bring me low sulfur so that I can drive? When
you know what is disgusting about the Jamaica Labour Party? Some of their supporters. Look at this person in the comment section talking about, you get enough time. That's not a question. No heart, no soul, just disgusting and evil. No compassion. I'm telling you, God is not sleeping. You can't tell none of that. You better repent. Because if you don't repent, boy, it's not going to pretty pound. People like you in the comment section were saying these things. Mighty God.
will we have some facility in place that persons can get access to fuel so that they can, even the elected officials, that they can actually go to the communities? Madam Speaker, I have nothing but concern for the people that I represent. I don't care who they voted for. Not my concern at this time. I'm talking about the people and how they are currently living. Anybody who does what I am saying, take a trip for yourself. And if it doesn't cause you to have tears, then you are not human. Anybody that does what I'm saying, take a trip for yourself. If you think that I am just here grandstanding, take a trip for yourself and have a look at the situation. It is a total and complete disaster in Eastern Westmoreland, and this is a cry for help.
So dear Jackson Miller, you never hear the cry for help. You never hear the cry for help, dear Jackson Miller, talking about if there was a real effort from the People's National Party. Do you see what Mr. Dr. Dayton Campbell, did you see grandstanding? That was the most humility I saw from Dr. Dayton Campbell. Did you see him in the campaign? I was wondering if it was the same Dr. Dayton Campbell that came to Parliament. The man was shook. The man was absolutely shook from the events that happened with Hurricane Melissa and what he saw happen to the people and what happened to himself because he moved the gun to. You understand? He sustained damages. He was right there in the heart of it with the people. Dr. Dayton Campbell is an unsung hero among us. I'm going to tell you something. You see these persons in these constituency that got hit, if there was ever a time for them to prove their commitment to the people that they serve and who elected them, and even those who didn't elect them and didn't vote for them, you saw it post Hurricane Melissa from the People's National Party. But I want to cap this critique of Dean Jackson Miller's question with this particular video, ladies and gentlemen, from my own collection on TikTok. I want you to listen to Andrew Holness' words out of his own mouth. Listen to this.
On the pandemic.
Hear this.
Management.
Want to hear this? TikTok, want to hear this?
On the pandemic.
Hear this.
When the leader of the opposition and myself met,
yes,
he expressed to me that he would want to have a role,
yes,
in the recovery, and that was not something that I objected to.
Oh, yeah. Dean Jackson Miller, you hear that? The People's National Party and Mark Golding met behind the scenes. Met behind the scenes with Andrew Holness So what you think they wanna do? When they met behind the scenes, after post-Hurricane Melissa, you don't think that they were dialoguing about all these things that has come up now? All these failures that Mark Golding tried to give some sound advice for them to prevent, because at the end of the day, the people would be the ones who are suffering. Mark Golding reached out his hand and said, work with us. We are here. And what did Andrew Holness say? Listen to this.
Punishment for
Wanna hear this?
side of
TikTok, wanna hear this?
on the pandemic.
Hear this.
When the leader of the opposition and myself met,
Yes.
he expressed to me that he would want to have a role
Yes.
in the recovery, and that was not something that I objected to.
Oh, you never object?
I still, however, have to figure out how does that work.
Andrew Holness just admitted that he can't figure out after all this time, how Mark Golding is going to have a role in the recovery process. He still can't figure that out, More want to make that digest. More want that go down and wash and just, when you drink one nice cup of coffee and you feel it all the way down in your intestine, your belly feel a relief and you bust a gas. More want to know if you remember, say, Andrew Holness just said, him still figure out how Mark Golding can be a part of the recovery process, a role in the recovery process. How Mark Golding can have a role in the recovery process. Ladies and gentlemen, how you find it so hard? How it's so hard for him figure out a role for Mark Golding in the recovery process? What little he must think of Mark Golding? These are questions. What little he must think of Mark Golding that he can't figure out how a man that know business, a man as smart as Mark Golding, right? The leader of the opposition, a successful businessman, he can't figure out how Mark Golding is going to have a role in the recovery process. Andrew Holness, you're skilling a brother. He's a dangerous guy. You're wicked. Yo, Andrew Holness too wicked, brother.
The framework of our system is we have a parliament.
Yes.
This is the ultimate forum,
yes,
in which we meet and debate.
Uh-huh.
And I have said, hold on, I've said, listen, let us establish a special committee. It wouldn't be under the strictures of all the other rules of how.
So, Andrew, if you want to figure out how Mark Golding can be a part and have a role, why you don't ask Mark Golding, what do you suggest? How you can play a role? You never think about that? No, but you want to figure it out yourself. And then you not have the brains to figure it out according to you.
Obviously.
You still can't figure it out now, so you don't have the brains. You don't have the IQ, so why you never ask Mark Golding? Mark Golding, what do you suggest? You never think about that? That never occurred to you. You know why? Because you have no intention of Mark Golding playing any role or the opposition. That's my opinion and I'm entitled to it. Yeah? That is no longer an opinion. That has become a fact. It has manifested into a fact, ladies and gentlemen. The Jamaica Labour Party showed clear signs that they have no intention. None. No intention of having the People's National Party involved in any type of recovery. Now they are failing. You see Desmond McKenzie come out talking about, we should work together, cleaning up the garbage and this initiative. No, not fail pound on own, so not do it pound on own. Hug up that. Let's listen to the answer from Dr. Data. We'll play over this now for sure. I just proved how ridiculous the statement that she made was. It's the question. But let's go over again, ladies and gentlemen.
But given the concern that you've been expressing, this though in the context of the projects we've heard announced from government in terms of infrastructure work, in terms of housing, in terms of relief, has there been, what should I say, a real attempt at engaging government on the concerns? I mean, we've heard the opposition at press conferences, but has there been a behind the scenes, come make us sit down and talk and try sort this out because people suffer it.
A part of Jamaican politics is that when you're elected, you become the chief mendicant. So I have been begging, pretty much, advocating, pleading to persons for some assistance for the persons. It makes no sense for me to not do that because that's where you get the allocation from. What I think is that the coordination of it has just not happened to an acceptable level. And I think there's a lot of PR that is taking place around it that makes it appear as if the recovery is well, but it's really not going well on the ground. So, for example, a lot of roads would have suffered significant damage during the passage of the hurricane. And we have not had a road program that has given any allocation to the constituency of Eastern Westmoreland since the passage of the hurricane. So I heard the minister announce a program and he said that $500 million out of the 1.something billion would be spent in Kingston and St. Andrew. Now, Kingston and St. Andrew did not suffer majority of the damage from the passage of the hurricane. So that was just a routine program, but they just rebranded it to say that it is dealing with Hurricane Melissa. But it really wasn't, because the allocation to Western Jamaica was about $70 million for the entire parish of Westmoreland. Nothing significant has been done.
I think one of the concerns has to be to what extent does the parish feel like it knows what's happening? You know, is there a plan? Do people know what is going to be happening to deal with these problems across constituencies? And I know you're just one constituency, but you are in St. Elizabeth.
I don't know that there's any confidence in respect of there being a plan per se for the parish of St. Elizabeth. And I say this because I am bearing in mind what the mayor actually said just a few weeks ago when he said that he's having sleepless nights because the parish is not ready in the event that another hurricane or even just a tropical storm comes. From those utterances, one would realize that there really doesn't appear to be any concerted or targeted plan for the parish of St. Elizabeth, especially bearing in mind that the mayor himself has indicated that more than half of the shelters are not in a position to take in persons. So in other words, the shelters need shelter because many of them are still without roofs. Many of them are just not in a state where they can provide any useful purpose. In terms of a plan, we do hear in Parliament plans about a new city in Black River, but we have no idea as it relates to the concept or the actual design or the scope. We have no...
Which is a segue to NARA then, because we've been told that NARA, the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, that a set of priority projects is being determined by cabinet. Presumably, St. Elizabeth is going to figure in there. Presumably, Westmoreland is going to figure in there as two of the worst hit areas.
So that was two of the clips, ladies and gentlemen. The shelter needs shelters. Mighty God. Zulika Jess. Big up Zulika Jess. The shelter needs shelter. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, man. As far as I'm concerned, Deanne Jackson Miller has truly it's truly disappointing for me. Never expected that. You know, I thought she was a neutral and a professional in the media space. Leave that up to us bloggers. Let us pick a side and seem biased. But on TVJ doing an interview, yo, to ask such a ridiculous question to Dr. Dayton Campbell and then coming off the cusp of criticizing Nikisha Burchell the way you did, and we have not heard you criticize the Speaker of the House and have that strong language against her. It just rubs me the wrong way. Let me know what you guys think, alright? Yes, my general. Hold on, my people.
I think one of the concerns has to be to what extent does the parish feel like it knows what's happening? is there a plan? Do people know what is going to be happening to deal with these problems across constituencies? And I know you're just one constituency, but you are in St. Elizabeth.
I don't know that there's any confidence in respect of there being a plan per se for the parish of St. Elizabeth. And I say this because I am bearing in mind what the mayor actually said just a few weeks ago, when he said that he's having sleepless nights because the parish is not ready in the event that another hurricane or even just a tropical storm comes.
Jamaica, wanna remember, did you guys see the interview on Portland Spice TV with the mayor? Gauntlet. No, I'm not saying Diane Jackson Miller is bad. I'm not saying that. I think she just likes the JLP. I think she just likes the Prime Minister. I think she doesn't like Mark Golding. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm a white man. Maybe she has say, oh, she has support a black man. When you look at Lisa Hanna, remember what PDTV, you remember what he said about his conversation with Lisa Hanna? That Lisa Hanna rather support Andrew Holness, because Andrew Holness look the part more. A lot of people have appearance biases now. So like me, because I'm a big guy, and I'm not in suits and me no look slim, and what I say, they wouldn't support me in certain things. And they do it too in the Jamaica Labour Party. Them have a size bias in terms of people and them weight. You understand? We make you think Marlon Morgan are one clown in our party. He have no significant role in our party. He the class clown. You understand? And them also have some things, the JLP have some things against women as well. If you really look at it. Look how them support George Wright in the last election. I mean, if I had an organization and there was a video showing you just battering your girlfriend, I would never assign you to any post in government under my party. Hell to the no. There's no way that's happening. I don't support that. I cannot support you. But they did. All the women over there supported George Wright. Once they stayed quiet, that is support. Even if they had a problem with him, they support him. And I see George Wright still making appearances with the Prime Minister. So nothing has changed. The love they have for him is still there, and the support. So you see, but hey man, Mark Golding is not a slim guy. He doesn't have this appearance of how they would want a man to look, like a smutty. Listen, I don't care how you look. I don't care if you're a female. I don't care. I don't business about none of that. Can you get the job done? Can you help and facilitate and put the systems in place to make the people's life better, improve, more positive? If you can do that, I don't care if you crawl to work. I don't care if you roll in. I don't care if you're paralyzed. I don't care if you're special needs. Salute to you, sir, ma'am, and thank you for your service. I don't business. I don't care. It's not a popularity contest, or it's not a runway where I don't business about them something patsy. Come on, man. Anyway, did you guys know that the NARA CEO was in an exclusive interview? Did you guys know that? Who knew? Anybody? If you knew, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat. Did you guys know that the NARA president, the NARA CEO, my apologies, did you know that he did an exclusive interview? Did you? We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about... Only never know? Rotted. Only in for a treat. Father's King, big up. Uno in for a treat. Cause me not listening to it now. Me only see it. And me said this should, I heard a snippet of it. I heard a snippet. Just a snippet. You know, like a short? Yeah, I heard a snippet of it. I didn't hear the whole thing. So we're gonna go through it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just put it in the slot right here. Put it in the slot right here. Put it in the slot right here. So the new the new man van JIS from CVM get the exclusive interview with Anthony Anderson. Yeah. You cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. But before I go to them, let me play one of my favorite members of the People's National Party. Let me play her video.
Of the People's National Party Media Unit.
The People's National Party Youth Organization stands firmly alongside the People's National Party in demanding the immediate resignation of Mr. Shane Dallin as Chief Executive Officer of the Firearm Licensing Authority. The Integrity Commission's report tabled on Tuesday has confirmed what many suspected, that the FLA under Mr. Dallin's leadership became an institution where accountability was optional, records were falsified, and evidence conveniently disappeared. For young Jamaicans who are daily confronted with the devastating consequences of illegal firearms on our streets, this is a profound and unacceptable betrayal. The Commission confirmed that a deceased individual's identity was used to fabricate ammunition sales records in a licensed dealer's name. It confirmed that hundreds of rounds of ammunition stored in the FLA's own vault cannot be accounted for. It confirmed that critical server data was permanently lost because no backup system existed at a government agency responsible for regulating deadly weapons. The youth of Jamaica are tired of watching those in authority escape consequences while ordinary citizens bear the cost of institutional failure. The FLA exists to protect public safety. What the Integrity Commission has uncovered is a disgrace to that mandate and an insult to every young person who has lost someone to gun violence in this country. Every round of ammunition that cannot be accounted for is a round that could end up in a community like mine, in the hands of someone who should never have had access to it. When the agency meant to control who holds deadly weapons cannot account for its own vault, young Jamaicans pay that price with their lives. We refuse to stay silent while institutional failure fuels the violence that is stealing our generation. The PNP Youth Organization calls on the Minister of National Security to immediately commission a full and independent investigation into the FLA's operations. Tightening procedures means nothing without leadership that commands public trust. Integrity and transparency are not negotiable. Mr. Dallin must go.
Visit our website at pnp.org.jm or check us out on...
I absolutely love the angle that she took on that, and it's a very, very serious point that you just made, ladies and gentlemen. Missing bullets can end up being used to take the lives of persons within. It can be used to take the lives of persons, young people. You understand? Yes, so I really appreciate that conversation right there, and I also call on the immediate resignation of Shane Dallin for that reason and more. Because when they say that no guns were missing, bullet is also lethal. All the other person needs to have is a weapon. So if you have missing bullets, I mean, damn. You don't think those missing bullets can be used in a nefarious way to put the citizens' lives in danger? I mean, come on, what are we doing? So yeah, I totally agree with her and the People's National Party. This is untenable. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with a reaction to this particular interview on JIS. Let's listen to the CEO of NARA that has no chance of going to prison if anything wrong is done in NARA because he is indemnified. So I want you guys to pay attention to his tone. I want you to pay attention to his body language and all of these things. All right, let's continue. Let's get into it. And like and share the video, ladies and gentlemen.
The 2026 hurricane season officially started on June 1, and so did the new CEO of NARA, that's the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, which will be managing Jamaica's post-Hurricane Melissa recovery. He's Major General Anthony Anderson here with us for this special JIS interview. General Anderson, the start of your appointment coinciding with the start of the hurricane season feels very symbolic. Do you see it that way?
I think it is, and I believe that there's probably a good reason why it's on the 1st of June. Obviously, we've been looking at that period, June to November, as the hurricane season. Traditionally, hurricanes came in the middle of that, August, September. So we have a real full season now. And that's it's concerning because it's now much more expanded than it was, even though we've always said that's the hurricane season. But as I say, my appointment this day, although I'm not going to be doing ODPM's work, I'll be doing pretty much large reconstruction and resilience projects for the government. And of course, in that process, building a lot of knowledge transfer and capacity building in it.
Hurricane Melissa had a devastating impact on Jamaica, even if people weren't directly affected. Seeing how so many people were impacted, does that affect how you do your job?
Not really. I mean, I just focus and get things done. Perhaps it's my background that causes that. It's crisis, operating in a crisis is really, it has been my bread and butter for a very long time. And so once it happens, you can't get too emotionally involved with it because you need to be very functionally involved with it to ensure the best outcomes.
Yeah, you spoke about your background just now. You've been head of the JDF, head of the police force. You've been national security advisor, most recently Jamaica's ambassador to the US. Anyone would agree you have served your country with distinction. You could easily go and play pickleball or golf, something like that. Hang out your socks. Why take on this huge job now?
Well, when you do service, there's never enough that you can do for your country. If there was no Melissa, then there'd be no NARA, and then I wouldn't be doing this. I'd still be the ambassador. I'd still be doing that and seeking an advantage for Jamaica over there. But since you had Melissa, with the level of damage and devastation that it caused, and you have NARA, you now have opportunity. And that's an opportunity all of us, none of us can afford to waste. And I believe that my own background and experience will assist in getting that done.
Expound on opportunity. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's given an opportunity to rebuild. It's given an opportunity to get money, to invest in infrastructure that was probably necessary, but we didn't have the money to do. And things that are now damaged, which are broken, that previously were okay, so people would get by with it. Now we have an opportunity to rebuild. We have an opportunity to get a construction industry that can build faster and bigger things. We have an opportunity to get young engineers looking at how you build at scale. And we have an opportunity to create leadership through our ministry structures to ensure that we have leaders who can lead in a crisis. Yeah. So there are lots of opportunities there.
And for you, what will success in this job look like?
Well, at the core of it is that we actually deliver at scale, with speed, transparently, efficiently, the projects that are given by...
Transparently. Transparently. No, you gotta be kidding, bro. Use one next word. Transparently is not it, sir. There's no transparency in NARA. Let's continue.
At the core of it is that we actually deliver at scale, with speed, transparently, efficiently, the projects that are given by the cabinet. Beyond that is the level of integration and communication we get going with our public-private partnerships, and also with what the private sector is doing. All of that needs to, at least there needs to be awareness with all of it, so that we can create some synergies from all of the efforts that are going to be taking place simultaneously. What we do, but what everybody else is doing as well, is to bring all that together.
And speaking about the synergies and the efforts, if we were to put some timelines on that, what realistically are you hoping to achieve in your first 90 days?
Well, usually it's 100 days. Yeah, usually we talk about now 100 days. I mean, the first part of it is really setting up the organization. So NARA is an act that has a CEO, and that's it at the moment. So very rapidly, we're going to have to build out the organization, and also get the systems in place that can properly manage in a automated and effective way, manage the program of projects and the projects themselves with the necessary tools to be able to report on things, so that the discussions around transparency, discussions around what's going on, ideally those will disappear because it will be automated and it's a part of your systems.
And so what do you hope to achieve by the end of this year?
Right, so by the end of this year, we should have, well, NARA will be up and running. We will have a sense or a register of our projects that are NARA projects, but the other projects that are taking place.
So Jamaica, according to him, the NARA is going to be our system where everything will be transparent. More than listening and more than write them something I don't know. So you see, when the ultimate moment come, I'm gonna say certain things, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna say wanna remember. Listen again.
Right, so by the end of this year, we should have, well, NARA will be up and running. We will have a sense or a register of our projects that are NARA projects, but the other projects that are taking place that may impact, or the ones that we may be able to get synergy from by coordinating the efforts, whether it's a public-private partnership type project, an existing project in a ministry that's not under NARA, or a private sector project. And the more we know about the collective picture of what's being done, is the better we can get some synergies. You should also, by the end of the year, have had engagements with all the MDAs that have a piece to play in that puzzle, but also affected parish councils and so on. We need to know each other, because I mean the truth is that I'm here as CEO of NARA, but ultimately the outcome is a better Jamaica for everyone. So everyone who has a hand in it should want to accelerate it, get things going faster, more efficiently, because that's what our people expect of us.
Yeah. You mentioned transparency earlier, and there has been a lot of discussion around NARA itself and their appointment, and we do want to touch on some of those issues on the other side of this break. We're speaking with Major General Anthony Anderson, the CEO of the newly established NARA. More on the other side of this break. Know you mainly from your of NARA. Welcome back to this special JIS interview. We're speaking with the CEO of NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson. General Anderson, Jamaicans know you mainly from your jobs heading the JDF and the police force, so we know you have a strong background in national security. What qualifies you? Many Jamaicans are asking for this job.
Right, so one is that, the job of CEO is a CEO job. That's the first thing. That if you're going to run something large and complex.
No, I know why Mr. Wayne Lonesome call him Google Gaga. Did he just say the first of all a CEO job is a CEO? Man, you gotta be kidding, bro. Hold up, wait a minute. What?
Qualifies you, many Jamaicans are asking for this job.
Right. So one is that the job of CEO is a CEO job. That's the first thing. That if you're going to run something large and complex, it suits you to have done that before. Beyond that, of course, I mean, I was during the 2000s. For a portion of that, I ran the engineer regiment of the JDF and responded to 2 hurricanes, Gustav and Ivan, as the head of the engineering part of the force. I also worked with, as in that job. As a matter of fact, between small and large projects, I had like 250 of them running at the same time, construction projects of different scales. I worked with NHT on the inner city housing projects, built bases, and did many things like that. So I have a relatively strong background in construction, from working on a site as a teenager.
Speak to us about that.
Well, back in the day, when I was at UTech, I did electrical engineering, but I also needed to make some money, so I worked construction supervision. Initially, construction supervision in like the summers and so on. I'd do that to make money so that you can fund yourself through school.
Yeah. You mentioned managing over 250 construction projects.
Well, of different size. You have little ones, like small ones to large projects.
How would you describe your leadership style, managing all of that, then coming straight up through the...
Well, you have systems. You have to put systems in place once you're doing large things or anything that's complex, or many things at the same time. You have to have systems. You have to select and get good people, and then empower them and guide them. So you empower them, you build them, and you're almost building your own redundancy. So you make sure that you have people around you who know what you know and can do what you do. So that's always part of it. If you're in a crisis, I become very directive about what needs to happen and just get it done. Outside of that, I'm collaborative.
Speaking about getting very directive, leading the JDF and the police force may be very different from leading a public-facing entity, a public sector agency like the NARA. Will you have to change how you lead to accommodate that?
No, I've never had to use a lot of force to lead. People, I generally share what I'm thinking, share my vision for whatever I'm doing, but share also why it's important, why it matters, and why your work matters.
Brother, nobody no need to share nothing. Nor have stepping powers. So nobody come with this, oh, you know, we don't have to use force. That's exactly what NARA was built for. Force. Cut the crap, cut the malarkey.
Share my vision for whatever I'm doing, but share also why it's important, why it matters, and why your work matters. And when you're leading organizations or anything, really, you sink or swim together. I mean, you rising tide raises all boats. And it's important that I found it beneficial where the person who's considered at the lowest levels understand what's going on. I don't think there's anyone in a process who needs to be removed or doesn't need to know. So I default towards getting people to know, except for the things that need to be unknown, if you see what I'm saying.
I do.
Yes.
There have been questions about whether you applied for this job and went through the process like everyone else, or whether you were handpicked for this position. Can you respond to that?
Well, I applied based on the requirements that was published in the newspaper, I believe it was, and online. And then I was interviewed, probably maybe an hour and 3/4 interview. So it was quite interesting thing, but it's, of course, it wasn't that problematic for me because it's really talking about things I know. You know, it wasn't that.
Yeah. The agency has been controversial even before it came into being, with various interest groups raising varying concerns. Does that concern you?
So it's new. New things tend to have that. We're aware that, you know, and we have a society where you have a lot of interested parties around any new thing. There is also sometimes challenges with trust, we're not sure. And sometimes we default, unfortunately, to the negative rather than the positive. And that's why even things like, was there a special arrangement for me? Well, why would there be? You understand? And that's that.
What do you mean, why would there be? Because you are the Prime Minister friend, aka allegedly cousin. What do you mean, why would there be? So people actually asking the question if there was a special. Look on their face. Let me screenshot this. My box cover. Why would there be? You cannot make this up, Jamaica. You cannot make this up. No, this man are definitely an anti-honest friend. Them people that take a feed that, What do you mean, why would there be? Who is your wife, sir? Are you married? Is your wife a friend of Andrew Holness? Well, if you're your wife, you must be a friend of Andrew Holness. Because you're a friend of Andrew Holness. Weren't you his personal security advisor at one point? You're the only man that failed in the office and went to another office where you get more money and more prestige. You moved from when I can't show the numbers them. I just don't want to do it right now. You were a failure as a commissioner. And after as a commissioner, you went to where? What them name as an ambassador? Brother, I want your job security. I want your job security. Where did you go to school? It is alleged that you went to school in England. Is that true? I'm just asking questions. Because there's a lot of dots that need to be connected, And I don't want to presume anything. So I'm asking the question. Who is your wife? Right? Who is your wife's father? Is your wife's father a businessman in Jamaica? And is that businessman a friend of Andrew Holness and an associate? Does that businessman have any interest in pulling contracts from this NARA organization? And if these things are true, the questions I'm asking, if all of the answers are yes, don't you see that as a conflict of interest? Wouldn't that tie into corruption, nepotism, cronyism? These are questions. Why would it be? That's crazy.
And that's why even things like, was there a special arrangement for you? But why would there be? You understand? And that's the question. Why would there be? And why would that be necessary? It wouldn't be necessary. So we get into that mode. The only way we get out of it, to tell you the truth, is when we deliver. How we engage people. How we let them know, what we're thinking. Too much is riding on this for it to not succeed.
And I do want to come to that momentarily, but did the noise make the job less appealing for you?
I think so. Also, sometimes challenges with trust, we're not sure. And sometimes we default, unfortunately, to the negative rather than the positive. And that's why even things like, was there a special arrangement for you? Well, why would there be? You understand? And that's the question. Why would there be? And why would that be necessary? It wouldn't be necessary. So we get into...
Sir, so you're telling me that all the persons, that these 80 plus people that came to do an interview, you were the most qualified? You were the most qualified with the most experience. All the other international people, you were the most qualified. Until I see a listing of persons and credentials, I don't believe that. I don't. I just don't believe it.
To that mode, the only way we get out of it, to tell you the truth, is when we deliver. How we engage people. How we let them know, what we're thinking. Too much is riding on this for it to not succeed. And
I do want to come to that momentarily, but did the noise make the job less appealing for you?
I've dealt with noise a lot over my time in public service, especially once you're in a job that is relatively high profile. There's gonna be.
The mainstream media is so condescending, and these people that think that they are above the fold, and they cannot be held accountable For them, ladies and gentlemen, you see, when people criticize and ask critical questions, they call it noise. That in itself is a dismissive tone, and it tells you where they are at, in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? Well, let's continue.
Noise. In order to do the job, you have to be able to clear the noise. You have to be laser focused on what you're trying to get done. Because it's always trying to distract you. It's always trying to take you down a rabbit hole to prove this or disprove that. That's not why you're there. You're there to deliver something specific. Whatever the job is, there's a very specific set of things that you're there to deliver. That's what you need to focus on. And if you can't take the noise, then you're probably not suited for that.
Yeah. Some of the concerns have been the amount of power that the CEO, you, will have. How do you plan to operate so that public interest groups and the public feel heard?
Well, I've always operated that way. I mean, most of the positions I've have had extensive power in law, very extensive power. So I've always tried to communicate as best as I can with the public, let people know what's going on. Depending on what we're doing, you can do that to a lesser or greater extent. But I believe that each organization that I've been in, the way they have communicated with the public has increased manyfold and has developed in those organizations. From behind the wall to, okay, this is what we do. And the truth of the matter is now just technology, the way we communicate, AI, all of these things that are part of our world now, it really doesn't allow for anything but a certain degree of openness.
Yeah. And speaking about that, there have been questions about the level of internal accountability NARA will have. Do you have any ideas how you plan to address those issues?
Well, we have to base NARA initially on what is considered international best practice around this type of thing. And there are a few models that are out there that we've been looking at, how we do that. There are trusted softwares, processes, planned programs, and so on. These things are known already and are acceptable to donors, funding institutions, financing institutions, and so on. So I don't see us going far from that. Obviously, we have to have credibility with what we're doing. So the key is to set up credible systems up front as we develop the organization.
You spoke about knowing the local government and connecting with all the other MDAs and agencies. Will NARA be duplicating the work of other agencies?
No, because there's lots of work to go around, especially if we're going to try and do things in a short period of time. Hopefully, by collaboration, we'll probably allow them to unstick some blocks they may have or whatever, or have the discussion. In the end, we want a better system, not just for NARA, because NARA is time-bound, but for the government, for the system, the civil service, public service.
You may have just answered my final question, but at the end of the day, when your job is done, what do you want Jamaicans to be saying about NARA?
That it made a significant and lasting and legacy difference to how we do business in Jamaica and to our landscape, our development trajectory, and our growth.
Yeah. A lasting difference. That's the word from the incoming CEO of NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson, who just spoke to us here for this special JIS interview. Major General Anthony Anderson, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And thank you for tuning in.
Well, we have it on record, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's all I will say. We have it on record. There's some key things in that particular interview that he said that, his assurances and stuff like that. One of the main things for me personally, I took from that is that there's going to be some type of real-time accountability system for the operations of NARA. That's not in the act. That's not in the bill. Basically, something like JAMP is what I am reading from it. It's going to be something like JAMP. That's what I'm reading from it. I might be mistaken, but this NARA bill is so vague, and this building out idea I don't know why you can't construct something that actually, you know, is acceptable. And then when you look at, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at civil society groups, there are several things that they wanted to get amended. And you know, let me tell you, this NARA bill, there was no real urgency, in my opinion, by this government for the NARA bill in terms of helping the citizens that are most vulnerable, you know, because when you look at the other things that they have in place in terms of their response to all this that's going on and people needing help, you have to say, but hold on, I don't really see this NARA bill and the rush to pass it in the way it is, even in the language of the NARA bill. It doesn't really have anything to do with helping citizens directly. It just has to do with big projects. That's all. It has to do with big projects. Ladies and gentlemen, this picture let me know why Mr. Wayne some call this man Google Gaga. Yeah, man. That picture right there, so you make me know. This is the moment he said, why would I get special? Why would I get special treatment to get this job? I said, that is the dumbest question I ever heard. That, you know how much reasons you would get the job, sir? The connection that you have with the Prime Minister, duh. Who was a part of the process. All of these accolades he's talking about. But like I said, I'm very interested in what this system is of accountability that he speaks of. That everything will be registered. It will be there for all to see. Like, really? You're telling me that there's not going to be anything that's going to be redacted? We're going to see everything. Real accountability. I'm going to hold you to that, sir. I'm going to hold you to that. Trust me. I'm going to hold him to that. But let me know what you think in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. What's up?
Emotional damage. All of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light.
Yeah, man. So let me know what I think about that in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. No. I was going to I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna turn on my camera for this one because you guys need to see the full screen. We're gonna go to the FLA report, ladies and gentlemen, and we are still calling for the resignation of what's her name? Darling, a Darling in name? Shane Darling. Yeah, we're calling on the resignation of Shane Darling. Ladies and gentlemen, very important, okay? Very important. Who is that? Christopher. What are his plans for the first 100 days in office? Yeah, him kind of, Colin, how you doing? Him kind of go around them something, you know. What freedom, what I say? Freedom say game over. Freedom not easy, yeah, man. I don't know. I don't got any confidence from that interview. It leaves me with more questions than answers when it comes to this gentleman here. Yeah, that's all I have for you. I don't really have any confidence, ladies and gentlemen, in him. He claimed to say, you know, basically it's going to come down to, you know, them doing them thing and doing it for the concerns of the people to be quelled. So make us see what them are gonna do then now. Make us see what them are gonna do. Alright, so I'm gonna go back to, I think, page 6 of this report. Allegations, yes. That's where I left off. Page 6. Share the screen. So this is the report, ladies and gentlemen. The last part of it that this was the last part of it. The people that are on the investigation. Let's get to this page right here.
This chapter outlines the scope of the investigation and the issues that were explored. The DI sought to establish, inter alia, the following. 3.1.1 The protocols, policies, and/or legislation governing the grant, issuance, suspension, and/or revocation of firearm users' business and firearm dealers' licenses by the FLA. 3.1.2 The process through which firearm users' business and firearm dealers' licenses are granted by the FLA. 3.1.3 The requirements, which are to be met by applicants for the grant of firearm users' business and firearm dealers' licenses. 3.1.4 Whether there is merit in the allegation that John Elliott's gun shop, which was shut down and reopened by the FLA after he paid a fee of $500,000 under the table, and if so, whether same gave rise to an act of corruption. 3.1.5 The veracity of the allegations regarding the access and management of the FLA's database in respect of the altering of records in relation to the sale of firearms and ammunition. Report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety, and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 9 of 69. 3.1.6 The veracity of the allegation that Mr. Kent Brown is being targeted by the FLA because he did not pay $2 million to Ellsworth Callum. 3.1.7 The systems employed by the FLA in the storage of firearms and ammunition for the period January 2016 to June 2021. 3.1.8 The protocols, policies, and/or legislation governing the storage and disposal of firearms and ammunition by the FLA. 3.1.9 The veracity of the allegation that firearms and ammunition are missing from the FLA's vault. 3.1.10 Whether there were any improprieties and/or irregularities in relation to the Firearms Act 1967, the Corruption Prevention Act, Integrity Commission Act, and / or any other applicable legislation or policies, and 3.1.11 Whether recommendations ought to be made in respect of the subject matter. Report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety, and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition. This chapter outlines the scope of the investigation and the issues that were explored.
Whether recommendations are to be in respect of the subject matter. I don't know, maybe I should read it. This chapter outlines the investigation actions that were undertaken throughout the investigation. Following the actions were taken during the course of the investigation during the period of June 17, 2021 to September 4, 2025. 23 notices were served on individuals who were deemed to be pertinent to the investigation to provide written statements. During the period of that, judicial hearings were conducted. During that period, there were 19 sites visited. Wow, I will power then do, man. During that period, June 4, 2021, witness statements were recorded and obtained. A review of the Integrity Commission Act, Prevention Act, Corruption and Prevention Act, the Firearms Act, and other relevant legislation and policies was undertaken. A review of a cross-reference of the responses and supporting documents, including FLA 2009 vote management audit, was conducted in order to inform the DI's conclusion and recommendation. This chapter sets out applicable law, policies, evidence, findings, and discussions in respect to the investigation. The requirement to acquire a firearm user's business license and our firearm dealer's license from the FLA. In determining, let me just read aloud that part here.
In determining the veracity of the complaint made, the DI examined the legislative framework which governs the establishment and functions of the FLA. The DI notes that at the commencement of the investigation, the Firearms Act of 1967, herein after referred to as the 1967 Act, was FLA's enabling legislation. This 1967 Act was repealed and replaced by the new Firearms, Prohibition, Restriction, and Regulation Act 2022, which received royal assent on October 13, 2022. 5.1.1 Based on the foregoing, the DI highlights Section 26 of the applicable 1967 Act which, inter alia, establishes the FLA. The reference provision provides, inter alia, the following: 26A-1. There is hereby established for the purposes of this Act a body to be known as the Firearm Licensing Authority. 26B-1. Subject to Section 38, the functions of the authority shall be A. To receive and consider applications for firearm licenses, certificates, or permits. B. To grant or renew firearm licenses, certificates, or permits. C. To revoke any firearm license, certificate, or permit granted under this Act. D. To amend the terms of a firearm license, certificate, or permit. E. To receive and investigate any complaint regarding a breach of a firearm license, certificate, or permit. 2. The authority shall have the power to A. Summon witnesses, B. Call for and examine documents, and C. Do all such other things as it considers necessary or expedient for the purpose of carrying out its functions under this Act. 1. 5.2 In light of the allegations that dealership licenses were being revoked by the FLA, the DI deemed it necessary to determine the FLA's internal requirements, which are to be met by individuals applying for a firearm user's business license and/or a firearm dealer's license. 5.2.1 Mr. Shane Dalling, CEO, FLA, indicated in a statement dated June 24, 2021, to the Integrity Commission, inter alia, the following. The application process for firearm user's business license, FUBL, a person who is desirous of possessing a firearm user's business license, FUBL, is required to complete and sign, in her own handwriting, a single firearm application form showing, among other things, 1.
Right. Sorry, my side. I never realized my microphone did on. You know. That must have been terrible for your ears. Sorry about that. Now we're going to see what is required from the what do you call it now? From the business owner that needs a firearms license. Listen to this.
A. Name and address of applicant, present and previous. B. Date of birth. C. Email address. Where applicable. D. Place of birth. E. Nationality. F. Marital status. G. Nature of employment. H. Telephone number. Home. Cellular. Business. I. J. Tax registration number, name, and address of present and previous employer K. Type and caliber firearm to which the application relate. The completed firearm application form should be accompanied by A. 2 passport photographs certified by a justice of the peace, but not sealed. B. 2 recommendations from either a justice of the peace, marriage officer, school principal, medical doctor, attorney at law, a police officer, not below the rank of deputy superintendent, or a member of the Jamaica Defense Force, not below the rank of major. Recommendations are to be addressed to the Firearm Licensing Authority. C. Proof of age, birth certificate or passport. D. Receipt reflecting payment of the prescribed fee, $12,000 per weapon. E. Receipt reflecting payment of the fee for fingerprint. Report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety, and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 14 of 69. F. Certificate of Incorporation, a valid business tax compliance certificate, TCC, and a valid individual
Like
tax
and share
compliance
the video,
certificate,
guys. Oh, the likes them look
TCC,
so.
is required where the applicant is a businessite, a company, sole trader, or partnership. G. Valid Company Private Security Regulation Authority, PSRA. H. Individual PSRAI. Letter of justification. The application process for the firearm dealer's license. The requirements for application are as follows. A11 application form, FLA #001A. B. 2 passport photographs certified by a justice of the peace, but not sealed. C. Proof of age, copy of birth certificate or passport. D. Trauma first aid certification, must be current. E. 2 recommendations from either a justice of the peace, marriage officer, school principal, medical doctor, attorney at law, a police officer, not below the rank of deputy superintendent, or a member of the Jamaica Defense Force, not below the rank of major. Recommendations are to be addressed to the Firearm Licensing Authority. F. Fingerprint receipt, only for applicants who are due for recertification. G. License fee receipt.
You know, for some people, them details might be boring, but this shall give you greater understanding. You see how them go through in a detail? Let's continue.
H. Source of funding may include but not limited to bank statement, land title, registration of current business, company incorporation. I. J. Other documents may submit photograph of proposed location and structure, optional. Certificate of incorporation, a valid business tax compliance certificate, TCC, and a valid individual tax compliance certificate, TCC, is required where the applicant is a businessite, a company, sole trader, or partnership. K. Declaration of assets, liabilities, income, and source of funding form, and the applicant must be an existing firearm holder, too. 5.2.2 further to the foregoing, Mr. Dalling stated, inter alia, the following. A. The applicant must be able to satisfy the authority that he is fit and proper, has an established need and clear justification for the license, and has a secure residence, non-residential, and adequate storage in place to store firearms. B. The applicant must show that his proof of income to establish the business is from a reputable and feasible source, and 2 statement of Mr. Shane Mr. Dalling, CEO, FLA dated June 24th, 2021 report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 16 of 69. C. The type of storage, vault, safe, etc., type of entry points to the premises, and availability of surveillance equipment are also taken into consideration. 3. 5.3 In the circumstances, it may be inferred that Mr. Kent Brown satisfied the criteria to be issued with various licenses by the FLA. This is supported by a statement received on September 25th, 2025 from Mr. Shane Dalling, who stated that Mr. Brown was issued with the following licenses by the FLA. I-2, 3, 4. Firearm Users License, Firearm Users Restricted License, Firearm Dealer's License, and Gunsmith's License. Storage of firearms and ammunition at FLA. 5.4 In determining the veracity of the allegation that firearms and ammunition are missing from the vaults of the FLA. The DI sought to ascertain whether firearms and ammunition are stored at the FLA and the circumstances under which these are stored. Mr. Shane Dalling indicated in a statement to the DI dated June 24th, 2021, inter alia, the following. Yes, firearms and ammunition are stored at the FLA under the following circumstances. A. Safekeeping by license holders. B. Disposals. 3. IBID report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety, and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 17 of 69. C. Surrender D. Seizure E. License not renewed F. Revocations G. FLA Inquiry H. Firearms for deceased persons 4. 5.4.1 By way of his further statement submitted to the DI dated October 6, 2021, Mr. Dalling detailed the circumstances which account for the storage of ammunition at the FLA. He stated, inter alia, the following. Ammunitions may come into the authority's custody for the following reasons. 1. Seizure. This may include ammunition seized by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, or Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA, due to an investigation. This may also include collection of ammunition from a relative of a deceased holder, or defective ammunition identified during audit of security companies and ranges, and or excess ammunition taken from license holders or security companies that falls outside of their allotted amount based on the terms and condition of their license. 2. Safekeeping. Ammunition left by license holder for temporary storage.
So, ladies and gentlemen, given the actual reasons why they would have these ammunition, some of them have to do with investigation. So, the FLA in the report here have some storage problem because ammunition, I think over 100 ammunition was unaccounted for. No man, shit that he need to retire, he need to resign, No, Jamaica, listen to me. We're talking about investigations. So a compromise of FLA is a compromise of an investigation. Potentially. I don't think y'all heard me though. A compromise of the vault storage at the FLA is a compromise of ongoing investigation. Listen, the FLA in its capacity has to operate with a high level of accountability. The highest level. You're talking about storage of evidence for cases in court. And there was a breach. That's why you have to read it. That's why you have to go through the whole thing. Let's continue. That's crazy.
Storage.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Is seized and the firearm and ammunition is retrieved and or left at the FLA for safekeeping. 4. Revocation. the holder's license is rescinded and the firearm and ammunition is kept by the authority as no license is in place. The holder may, however, sell and/or transfer the weapon to an approved applicant. 5. Disposal. The holder disposes of the weapon for purpose of sale or transfer, and the firearm and ammunition is stored pending the completion of the disposal process. 6. Surrender of license. The holder hands over the firearm and/or ammunition to the authority as she no longer has an interest in same. 5.4.2 further to Mr. Dalling's assertions. The DI sought to ascertain the length of time firearms and ammunition are kept by the FLA. Mr. Dalling further indicated by way of a statement, particularly that firearms stored by the FLA should be stored for a maximum period of 18 months in accordance with the Firearms Act, Section 45, 5B. However, firearms are in our storage from as far back as 2012. 6.
Crazy. Crazy. This part said, in light of the foregoing, the DI highlighted section 45, 5B of the applicable Firearms Act, which stated the following.
Five, every firearm and any ammunition received at any police station under this section shall. C, if not delivered to any person in accordance with paragraph A, within 12 months of the date on which it was received at such police station, render the owner thereof liable for payment of a storage fee in such sum or at such rate as may be prescribed, and if such fee is not paid within 6 months of the expiry of the period of 12 months aforesaid, the firearm or ammunition, or both, as the case may be, shall be forfeited to the Crown. 7. Seizure of ammunition from dealers. 5.4.4 as it relates to whether the FLA has ammunition in its storage that were seized from dealers and or licensed firearm holders. Mr. Dalling provided in his further statement dated October 6, 2021, a list comprising of 10 dealers and or individuals from whom ammunition was seized. Mr. Dalling stated, inter alia, the following. Yes, during audits carried out by the Compliance and Enforcement Department, ammunition are taken from dealerships for safekeeping at the authority if the ammunition is not a part of the dealer's inventory, based on our records. This may occur if the dealer is stockpiling ammunition on behalf of licensed firearm holders. It is to be noted that dealerships are not authorized, under the law, to store firearms and or ammunition that does not form a part of their inventory. 7 Firearms Act, Section 45, 5B, Report of Investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 20 of 69. Report of Investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 21 of 69. Upon conducting audits of dealerships, if ammunition is found that are defective, being stored for firearm holders or cannot be accounted for, then the ammunition is to be seized and taken to the FLA for storage. Kindly note that dealerships are not approved or gazetted, SIC, as storage locations for ammunition that are not a part of their inventory. 8 firearms and ammunition stored for destruction. 5.4.5 in determining the veracity of the allegations that the public notice put out by the FLA on April 26, 2021, saying that guns at the FLA for 5 years plus will be destroyed. It's a grand ploy to cover up the fact that numerous guns are missing. Yes, missing from vaults of the FLA, and thousands of bullets missing. The DI sought to ascertain whether firearms and ammunition earmarked for destruction are stored at the FLA and or any other entity acting on its behalf. Mr. Dalling indicated by way of his statement that firearms that were earmarked for destruction are stored at the Jamaica. Defense Force, JDF, 0.95.4.6 further to the foregoing. Mr. Dalling indicated that the intended purpose of the facility, redacted, is to store firearms until a date is set by the Ministry of National Security for them to be destroyed. 10-8 statement of Mr. Shane Mr. Dalling, CEO.
Mr. Dalling indicated that the intended purpose of the facility, redacted, is to store firearms until the date is set by the Ministry of National Security for them to be destroyed. Huh? Redacted. Maybe I'm missing something. Redacted means confidential, sensitive. All right. Nothing to see here. Let me go to the next page. Nothing to see there. So, why not read aloud?
5 point.
I was about to say, what's going on?
5.4.7 in addition, the DI sought to ascertain the protocols germane to the operation of the reference storage facility. Mr. Shane Dalling indicated in his statement, particularly the following. Before the firearms are moved from the authority, contact must be made with the JDF to schedule a convenient date and time for the movement of firearms. This compound is perimeter fenced and is only accessible by JDF personnel. Therefore, for the authority's personnel to access the dual custody redacted, they must be granted access to the compound by a JDF personnel. The redacted locking system is designed so that personnel from redacted must be present to open redacted. The authority's personnel produce two lists of the firearms that are being placed in the redacted, to which the JDF personnel and the authority's personnel sign accordingly. 1 list is retained by the redacted for their records, and the other is retained by the redacted 11. 5.4.8 by way of a statement dated July 26, 2021, Major Wayne Barrett, Officer Commanding, Logistics Company, JDF, stated inter alia that JDF personnel do not have access to the facility without the FLA representative being present with their redacted. 11 statement of Mr. Shane Mr. Dalling, CEO, FLA dated October 6, 2021 report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 22 of 69. The circumstances under which the facilities are accessed is dependent on when we are contacted by the FLA. The FLA will say that they either have additional firearms for storage or that there are arrangements in place for destruction of the firearms. As far as I am aware, the contents of the storage facilities are unserviceable firearms that are intended for destruction. 12. 5.4.9 further to the foregoing. Mr. Dalling also indicated by way of a statement that the FLA has defective ammunition that was retrieved from holders and dealers to be destroyed. 13. 5.4 to further determine the veracity of the allegations that the FLA's intended ammunition destruction exercise is a cover-up for the fact that firearms and ammunition are missing from the vaults of the FLA. The DI conducted a verification exercise of the FLA's storage facility at the JDF between Friday, June 18, 2021 and Wednesday, June 23, 2021. 5.4.11 during the referenced verification exercise, the DI checked and confirmed that all firearms and firearm parts were accounted for in conjunction with lists that were provided by both the FLA and the JDF. 12 statement of Major Wayne Barrett dated July 26, 2021. 13 statement of Mr. Shane Mr. Dalling, CEO, FLA dated October 6, 2021. Report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety, and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 23 of 69. Verification exercise at FLA's main vault. 5-4-12. The DI's investigation lead him to conduct a series of verification exercises of the ammunition stored at the FLA's main vault located at Redacted. This was done between November 15, 2021 and June 13, 2023. 5-4-13. During the conduct of the referenced verification exercises at the FLA, the DI observed security bags belonging to individual license holders containing firearms and ammunition, which the DI describes as an entry. For the purposes of this investigation report, the DI defines an entry as the record of the collection of ammunition and/or firearms stored in security bags belonging to license holders. 5-4-14. The DI highlights that the stock balance of the FLA's vault changes daily due to the intake and issuance/return of firearms and ammunition on a daily basis. Based on a copy of the FLA's electronic vault management system records examined by the DI, there were 4,103 entries of ammunition record reflected on the electronic vault management system as at June 17, 2021. 5-4-15. By way of a judicial hearing held on June 5, 2023, Ms. Deidre Mullings, Director, Application and Certification, FLA stated, inter alia, the following. Question. Share with us, Ms. Mullings, the system or systems which are used at the FLA to account for firearms and/or ammunition which enters the FLA vault. Report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety, and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 24 of 69. A. Question. When a license holder is leaving the country, the procedure is that that license holder must leave his or her firearm at a police station or the nearest FLA office. So when the person comes in and indicates to us that they are leaving their firearm, we have a firearm receipt book. So we take the firearm and the ammunition, if given. So we check the firearm against the license to ensure that the firearm that the person has corresponds with the license. So we write up that firearm. We refer to it as the FLA receipt book, and they're issued a receipt so that when they come back, they can present it to us. That is done by the firearm examination officer, and at the end of the day, the firearm and related accessories, whether magazine or ammunition, is put in a bag. We refer to them as security bags. So it is checked by the examination manager before the security bag is sealed, just to ensure that the information that is in the book and the respective firearm that the information corresponds. It is taken and placed in the vault until the person returns. So from the book now, we have what is referred to as the vault management system, so that information is entered on the vault management system in terms of the firearm details, the TRN, and the reason why the firearm is being stored. Thank you for sharing that. So this vault management system that you made mention of, is it an electronic system or a paper-based system? Report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety.
Pay attention to this, ladies and gentlemen, because why? Remember, said there was a breakdown in storage. So the questions being asked by the Integrity Commission is important question to ascertain what actually went down in this particular situation in terms of a breach or potential breach. Well, there's a breach because there's ammunition that was unaccounted for. So there was a breach. That's pretty dangerous. So let's continue my side.
impropriety and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA. March 2026, page 25 of 69. A. The vault management system is electronic, 14. 5.4.16 the DI notes that of the 4,103.4103 entries recorded, a total of 714 entries from the FLA's main vault were examined during the course of the ammunition verification exercise. 5.4.17 several of the security bags that were examined were deteriorating with visible holes and tears. Table 1 below highlights the findings germane to the investigation.
So Jamaica, when you hear that, page 26, section 5417, several security bags were examined that were deteriorating with visible holes and tears. So did somebody tamper with those bags? Did they remove those bullets through those holes? Could that be what this is in terms of the missing ammunition? Let's continue. Very interesting, my side. Very interesting indeed.
Table 1 entries checked findings 335 rounds of ammunition were unaccounted for. 3 12 gauge, 32, 9 millimeters, and 714, 300, 0.22 rounds. There was limited storage space within the vault. Older storage bags deteriorating. 14 transcript of judicial hearing of Ms. Deidre Mullings, held on June 5th, 2023, P29-31. R. Report of investigation concerning allegations of corruption, impropriety, and irregularities in the grant of firearm licenses and the storage of firearms and ammunition at the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA.
Few people in Bolo VNR clips and Bolo VNR 2.0. If you guys want to see the actual document, come over to Bolo TBV. I'm going to end this live here. Come over to Bolo TBV. Come over to Bolo TBV on YouTube, alright?